Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
As usual, we are going to kick off the new year by discussing the Lake Superior State University Banished Words list. Every year, the university comes out with a list that they take in from suggestions all over the country and Canada about words that we are sick of using, that we've heard far too much this year, and maybe we should make our New Year's resolution to banish some of these for our language and give people's ears a break. For the first time in many, many years, since we've been doing this for about 10 years now, there aren't too many words, or I think any words on the list that I personally use. So I know.
You're healing.
I'm healing. But I understand where people are, and we're going to start at number 10 on the list and then work up to number 1. I predicted number 1, and I'm sure a lot of you have too.
It was on my list.
Yeah.
It was totally on my list. Well, let's start out with number 10, shall we? And if you have a comment to make on any of these words, please feel free to pop in the comments and tell me where you're coming from and how you feel about this word. So the first phrase, first word that we're going to address is actually a phrase. And the phrase is reach out.
I feel like this is like my self-help session where I have to come and admit, hi, I'm Elizabeth, and I use all the banished words. Reach out. I wish I didn't use it. I want to ban it from myself, but I certainly this wasn't part of my vocabulary this year.
Well, really? what's the context there? How do you use it?
I'm going to reach out to you about, next week or something like that. I mean, it's used in as an actual conversation piece, but I do notice that is a default instead of saying something else let's get together or something like that. It's, I'll reach out and we'll get that scheduled. Well,
let me validate you. I there's half of this list that's still in my vocabulary. I am ashamed to admit. And this is one of them.
I think reach out first gained a lot of prominence during the pandemic lockdowns, where people did reach out meetings and they were reaching out through email. I think there was this yearning to touch. And I think that's just my 2 cents about where that phrase came from.
I don't feel the weight on this one. I mean, they got to make a list. It's a great list, but I don't feel huge weight. Maybe that's why it's number 10 instead of number 1. It can be overused. Like Laura and I, we were talking the other day about authenticity. Remember that? And it's not going anywhere, but it does feel tired and old. And this is one of those for sure.
Yeah. I remember when I first got onto Facebook, I can't remember when that was, 2009 or something like that, that people that I hadn't talked to since high school or, somewhere in the distant future would say, thanks for reaching out. I shouldn't say nobody, but you never heard as much. Well, it's so great to hear from you. I got thanks for reaching out. like it was an effort. And as an aside, I'm actually undergoing physical therapy right now because of reaching out, aggravated an injury. And,
Chris Willis points out that reach out is a handy word to use on Slack in particular. And that might have to do with the idea that we're talking to each other a lot in a faceless and voiceless medium, and that we have this yearning to touch. And I think that may be where that's coming from. And I agree with Todd 100%. I think that was on the list last year that we have to stop saying 100%. But but I do agree with you on that totally, that how's that? And completely that it doesn't have the weight that the others do. Tom Green says, reach out is corporate speak. And I'm feeling that, Tom.
Yeah,
I'm feeling that a lot.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move on to the second word on the list, or actually word that came in number 9, and that is the phrase, my bad. How do we feel about my bad?
I'm very embarrassed to admit this, but when I confessed that, easily half of this list is still in my go-to vocabulary, my bad is very, child of the 80s. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not embarrassed as much as I'm just trying to be honest. I say my bad all the time. I hope I'm not making people cringe.
Yeah, I first picked it up playing street basketball, like when I was a teenager. And, in street basketball, you don't have a referee, so you call your own fouls. And so it was like typically that if you hack somebody or double dribbled, you'd say, my bad. And then, where I lived in the South at the time, it would say my bad. And they would say your ball as y'all's ball or y'all ball. And so I still say that now to this day when I have like a minor, screw up, say, my bad, and I can't reflexively say y'all ball on top of it.
Scott, where were you? I had 14 years in Memphis, and that sounds exactly like what we did too.
Oh, I lived in the Orlando area and went to school in Gainesville, and lived in Tallahassee for a bit.
My bad.
My ball.
All right, Elizabeth, where do you stand on this? Because I enjoy listening to what the men are saying about that I see how that can be a really useful sports term, and it probably originated there because you're playing basketball and you're sweating and panting. You don't want to say, oh, pardon me, I am at fault here. You want to say something short and breathless almost. And I think that is probably why it's not in my vocabulary, because I'm not a basketball player. I don't play sports. So that wouldn't have crept into my vocabulary. Elizabeth?
Yeah, it's interesting, Laura. My first thought when I saw this list was, gosh, I don't really even hear that much anymore. But I think as we get into this list, I also don't have children. So I think that some of these things, maybe I just am not surrounded by the right audience. But I think about like when I say, if I were to say, oh, that's my bad, my mistake, like I would certainly follow it up with mistake. I don't think I ever use it sort of on its own. It's not usually my first go-to, but I certainly, have heard it around the streets, as it were. And I certainly, like Todd and Scott, as we sort of talk about like our history, I remember it more from like the first time around than so much now, I guess.
You seem refined. This is our first chance to meet, but you seem refined. The way you said the street is hilarious because you've never been on the street. I can tell you, I have two Gen Z boys, wonderful, wonderful humans. And I don't know if it's me or their Gen. I don't know, but they both say my bad all the time. And they're hoopers too. So maybe that's it.
Yeah, good parenting, Todd.
Well, let's move on to number 8, shall we? And the word there that we have is gift or gifted. And I don't think they mean it like, hey, Scott, I just bought you a gift. That would be acceptable. But the idea of me saying, I gifted you with this present is what's grating on people's nerves. Or am I off base on this explanation?
I remember like when I was in elementary school, right, there were like the gifted students, right? And that was like referred to as like this intellectual premium that you aspired to. And now I think about in my vocabulary, I haven't really thought about that in a long time, other than when I saw this list, that was instantly what popped into my mind. But I did think about what I do like to say is like when a meeting can end short, I always like to say, well, I've given everyone the gift of time. So now I think, oh my gosh, maybe that is jarring to people like nails on a chalkboard, and I should stop saying it.
No, I think that you used what you said is I have given you a gift. And I think people are using the word gift to replace the word give. They say, I'm going to gift this to you instead of I am going to give this to you. And I think that's the phrase that grates on people.
I first noticed give and gift in the Seinfeld regifting episode. I think somebody else did too.
I don't know where
I never thought that much of it, and I do see it does seem like it's more common to use gift as a verb, and of course that I had to look up Alexander Haig on Wikipedia because I couldn't remember all of his positions. But for those of you who don't know, he was Secretary of State. He was briefly chief of staff, and he was a military general, but he was known for turning nouns into verbs.
Hmm.
And I read a really wonderful, I wish I had kept it or memorized a little better, but it was written as if he had written a strategy paper, and, you know, words like technique. I technique a, but it was spoofing Alexander Haig, but it kind of sounded just like him.
You have just taken the dork quotient of this meeting to a whole new level, and
Okay,
I'm
appreciate
inspired by that. That's amazing.
Well,
I
and
vaguely
talked
recall
about
his name,
this
but
a
your
few
detailed
times,
use.
over the years, but it always leads to when the attempted assassination on President Reagan,
Yeah.
Alexander Haig, who was third in line, just said, "I'm in charge now."
I
Which
do
is
remember
probably only
that.
bested. Do
Skipped
you
over,
recall?
poor George H.W. Bush and the Tip O'Neill, who was the speaker?
God, we are aging ourselves. Do you
Yeah,
recall
we are.
Ross Perot's running mate?
John Stockdale.
Yeah, remember what his famous statement, like Haig's, "Who am I? What am I doing here?"
Well, and there was also just like out of the, because I think that I appreciate that, getting off topic, of course, but I do appreciate the fact that must have been difficult to be in a three-way debate like that. And he was somebody that was not in politics. He was a, ex-military university professor, but just watching the other vice presidential candidates, Becker, he just like out of the blue goes, "Gridlock." You remember that, I guess.
He just looked like a
Okay.
beautiful stereotype of a
Anyway,
boomer.
we should talk
When
about the list.
When it comes to that particular phrase of "my bad," we have some comments on that. Chris Willis is here to say it is a grammatical abomination.
That's strong.
That's strong. That's strong. And Tom Green, hate it. Ask person where they keep their bad. Excellent. Oh, it's my bad. Really? Where do you keep it? That is so Tom.
Personal, sir. Yeah.
All right, we have to move on. I already did gift and gifted. How strange. Number 7 on the list is perfect. How do we feel about that?
Gifted.
Yeah, I know what they said about this, that nothing is like we use that word improperly because nothing is really perfect. It's like it's used highly out of context, but I certainly use this a lot. Like,
Yeah, I think
if we can agree on a meeting date and like one exchange, I feel like that's perfect. Like, thank you so much. Like we've achieved perfection, in my opinion.
I think we grade many things in life on a curve, and to call them perfect. But I did reading the description of why people did not like this term. I thought about that country song, "She's Close Enough to Perfect for Me."
I haven't heard perfect too much. The one time that I heard it, I wasn't in a position to comment on it because it was my dentist who was, my mouth's wide open. I'm leaning back in the chair and he looks at one of my teeth and he goes, "Perfect." And then he looks at another one and he goes, "Perfect." And he kept going, "Perfect, perfect." And I'm like, really? That doesn't seem very medical.
I definitely think this is peculiar more than annoying and needing to be on the list. We use it all the time.
Yeah.
I've got a million catchphrases. I like to say progress, not perfection. So I understand how we don't use it technically correct, but I don't also feel like it's hit the annoying level that authenticity and other words sometimes do.
Yeah, I feel that too. I think perfect is fine in certain circumstances and with a little, a little seasoning to your vocabulary, but this one is not all bad in my opinion, except when you're looking at somebody's teeth and they can't respond to, "What do you mean perfect?" They can't be perfect. For God's
Well,
sake.
I don't get those reports at the dentist, Laura, so I don't have experience.
Let's move on to number 6 on the list, which was full stop. How do we feel about full stop?
When I
Oh,
first
Todd,
heard it,
Todd, I can tell you've got something going on here. Tell your story, Todd.
No, I really don't have a story. I agree with this one. It's just funny. I think some words are peculiar enough to be weird and odd and jarring, even though they weren't intended that way. And this is one of them. I think there's a full stop on full stop. I'm happy with this being on the list.
Okay, so here's my feeling on full stop, because it's sort of, I use this, and I use it because I worked internationally for a large portion of my career. And in the UK, full stop is a period, right? So like if you were copy editing and someone said, well, there's, add a full stop, right? Blah, 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 blah. So in years past, period has been on this list. And then when full stop came, I thought they're taking all my sentiment away. Like I went from period to full stop because I felt like that was a good replacement that people didn't have. Now they're going to take full stop away from me.
I love it.
Well, it always seemed kind of, there was also people that I've known that they would say when they, for emphasis after they said something, they would say, period. And it doesn't really, it seems redundant. Maybe the default should be when you stop speaking, it's full stop. If you're going to continue, you could say M dash or hyphen or
I think these are products of polite society sometimes. Instead of using the expletives we'd all like to use in public life that we're mostly smart enough to not use, we create these more acceptable phrases that become worn out, like full stop.
I'm a little weird with this.
now.
I think I was like in my 50s before I realized that full stop was actually a period.
Mm.
But here's my thing. When I'm done speaking, I don't say full stop. I just stop speaking and don't say it. I don't use period either because I'm speaking. That is a written thing to do, not a speaking thing to do. And I wonder if people who say full stop or period haven't structured what they're saying well enough so that people don't know that it is actually the end of their sentence. So I'm not really sure where this is going, but I've heard people say it, but I haven't heard people over say it. That's just where I'm sitting here in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
I haven't. Go ahead.
No, please.
I was going to say I haven't overheard it either, but it's interesting, and you've got so much experience as a presentation coach. People don't know what they're saying in the moment; they just react, and they often one of the most common things I ever see in any speaker is a redundancy. They feel they haven't emphasized or made a point enough that they've got to say something else that was kind of already said. I think this falls into that category.
Mm.
It's I both am thankful as well as mortified, Laura, when you bring up things that are like, like duh, of course, that's why I do it. I get really, in case you haven't noticed already, I get very passionate and excited about things. And sometimes I feel like I'm going at a rate where maybe I say that even for myself, like full stop, like I'm done talking now, like that I've made my point. I want you to understand that I've made my point and I'm done now. Full stop.
See, now in a coaching call, I might do something along the lines of, we have to find a better ending for you.
I'm not going to do it from stage, but like if I'm on the phone with someone, I might be more inclined to use that phrase.
You know
It's an
what?
interesting point, though. I mean, when people use these phrases, we haven't addressed this for any of them. How are people perceived when they use or overuse one of these phrases? That's a really interesting question. And I think the answer is some people don't notice, and a lot of people do notice, and they think to themselves, oh, how cliche, how redundant, how lacking in something unique this person is in terms of having something to say. That's interesting. Full stop.
Well, if I'm wondering if it was really necessary to tell people by saying full stop or period. Why don't we do that after every sentence? And I know it's for emphasis. Maybe we need to say exclamation mark if we want to throw the emphasis on there, or the thinking of Burt Ward as Robin in the old TV show.
How?
You made me think of something, and this is a south side of Chicago mannerism, and that's where I'm from, that I won't say full stop, but I will do this. I'll do a body language of that. And I don't see people in the Midwest other than Chicago do that. It's over. It's done. That sharp little motion. But I think that we probably have other little tricks that we do sometimes to say dead to me. I mean, that's the thing that I would say, dead to me, and done. I'm done with that.
Aren't we starting to be trained, though, to speak in punctuation? Because if you do voice text, Like if you want to dictate a text, in order for any form of, sentence structure, like if you don't just want one sentence, you've got to sort of say like, period and or comma or whatever it is to ensure the fact that your correct sentiment comes through. So I wonder if maybe some of this also might be a holdover from us sort of being trained in that for the last few years.
True.
Well, I also wondered that when people say full stop, I kind of suspect that they were speaking in their own mind in all caps.
It could be. Chris Willis chimes in and says that her husband, Robert, says it's like how the Brits use brilliant. And I think that's kind of going on with what Elizabeth said, that it's a Britishism that we've adopted.
Yeah.
And listen to this reminds me of when I went off to college. My father told me to come home stupid.
Not to come home stupid. Not to come home stupid.
Oh, come home stupid. Don't come home stupid. I've not heard that, but now I want to use that. Maybe that will be the closing to my next speech. Thank you for listening. Don't leave stupid. It could be my tagline. It could be. Well, let's move on to something else. We are halfway through our list at number 5, and the word there is incentivize. How do we feel about the word incentivize?
So I saw in this one, they said, why can't we use, motivate? And I feel like incentivize and motivate are not the same things. One is that motivation is just like could be done just through words, right? Mm-hmm. Versus incentivization, to me would be that I would receive something, like it would be more monetarily based.
Yeah, there's something there you're gonna get. Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't hear this too often, but I would think that would be a corporatism once again, that instead of using motivate, they're trying to find a different word, or it's not a word that it's in my vocabulary, but it's good to know that is a word that is grating on people. So I won't have any problem banishing that at all. It's not in my vocabulary. How do we feel about word number 4? Word number 4 is massive.
I use this.
Do you?
You sounded so defeated.
Because I use it. I probably am the reason for the banishment.
Oh.
Well, give me an example. How do you use it?
Oh, I use it for all different things. Like, that's going to be a massive time suck, or, it's just part of my vocabulary. I'm trying to think of other examples, but that was the first one that came to mind.
Now, I don't use massive, but I may be guilty of saying super, which is the same sentiment. It is that qualifier or that kind of jargony, trendy word to say massive or big or very. We get a little burned out on using very, so it's like, let's say super, and maybe I should let that one go instead of massive. I won't enter massive into my vocabulary, but maybe I should cool it on the supers.
Yeah, I use Uber too much.
Okay, but not the car ride service.
Yeah, probably should have to clarify that.
Yeah.
Or as Chris chimes in to say, massive is huge.
Or huge, as they say in some parts of the country.
Let me go against the grain and say that I like this word. I don't think it needs to be on the list. There was one a few years ago. I don't know if it was on this list, but it was much talked about. And the word is ginormous. It became an actual word just a few years back. And I don't know why. Maybe I'm just old. I just can't stand that word. It was a piece of slang, and then it became a real word. I'd just as soon say massive.
Massive is fine. I like ginormous, though. I don't use it, but I like that it's a portmanteau or a mashup of two different words of giant and enormous. And now you've created ginormous. And I don't use it, but I appreciate the sentiment behind it, because language is a living, growing thing.
Sure.
And it's one of those things. I don't hear it so much anymore. Ginormous. I think
massive sounds more sophisticated than ginormous. Like I would use them in very different contexts.
Okay.
Ginormous would be like hyperbole. You know what I mean? Like it's ginormous. Whereas like massive might be, how I talk about impacts of artificial intelligence without any policy.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with massive personally. If you want to use massive, my ear hasn't overheard massive yet.
Mm-mm.
We haven't achieved peak massive, in my opinion. But how do we feel about word number 3, which is cooked?
Needs to be on the list. Overused. My kids use this word, among other strange words Gen Z has adopted, all the time.
Really?
Yes. Something is done. It is cooked. They use it in different ways. It has different meanings. Sometimes it's about a move on a basketball court. Sometimes it's about a thing that is over. In general, it's used in 3 or 4 ways, best I can tell. So that's I think the reason it gets overused, because it doesn't have one simplistic defined meaning.
Yeah, I don't remember use of cooked in that particular, some of those contexts, but I do remember for years back, people would say, stick him with a fork, he's done, sort of thing, which means cooked, I guess.
Put a fork in it, yeah.
Or you burnt.
Yeah.
That was big there for a while. Now, Scott, you're in a position of being around many, many young people as a substitute teacher. Are you overhearing cooked in that younger crowd?
Not that I've noticed. I mean, I hear it. I hear it for people, that are, post school age, and don't hear it much from people my age as much. But I don't know what kind of cook they mean, because that, you would recommend sous vide if you're going to cook yourself or cook somebody.
I don't know.
That's
I've heard this in relation to AI from a million pundits in the last year. They think about AI and its impact on humanity in the next few decades, and they often say, we are cooked.
I wonder what they mean by that.
We are irrelevant. We will be jobless soon. We do not add value the way we used to. We are done. Put a fork in it. We are cooked.
Okay. I like all those words.
You didn't say full stop.
Period.
All right, let's move on to number 2. Number 2 on the list is demure, and I am surprised to hear this because I thought this word was played last year. I don't hear people say demure so much anymore because there was a bit of a backlash against demure. What have you hear? What are you guys hearing that I'm not hearing?
I don't hear it that much. I know that it became, very popular on social media after an influencer called themselves demure in a post, but I think it was a video. But it just seemed like, I don't know why there was so much backlash towards the word from the beginning, and or also the fact that it was getting so much use all of a sudden either.
I think this is the vanilla ice of the list. In 1 or 2 hot moments, very likable and popular, and then instantly turning into something negative and hated. I remember the video you mentioned, Scott. There was a woman, I think it was more of a viral thing as opposed to an influencer who was already known. And she said something about, look at me, I'm put together, I'm demure. And it was funny and very unique the way she said this. And she was just the thing for a week. And after that week, she was just the thing everyone made fun of. And it was so potent, again, much like Vanilla Ice, strangely potent, that it found its way to this list. I think each of these words found different paths, different ways to end up on the list. This one was a thing that was unique and went viral and was loved, and then it was too sugary, and moments later it was hated.
Man, Chris wants to know who says demure, and I think you answered that question. It started with a content creator on TikTok. I saw her videos, and I was absolutely charmed by them last year. I give her a lot of credit for bringing demure back, because that was a word that was off our radar.
Cool word.
Yeah, we didn't use it. And then suddenly it took off like a bat out of hell, and people couldn't stop saying demure for, I'm guessing, a good 6 months. But I'm seeing it peter off. I don't think it really needs to be on this list because it got played and people aren't using it as much anymore.
Got
Anybody
played.
else
It's the
hearing
second time, Laura, you've said got played. What era did get played become cool? I remember it. I remember it, but I don't know when it started. That's cool.
Oh God. I have to say get played off of my list. Maybe that's my banished words list. Yeah.
Well, when I saw this word on the list, I guess I'm living under a rock because I was like, really? I don't hear that at all. It felt like I was almost like, oh, maybe I want to start using that word because I hadn't really heard it. But I do also feel like, this is the 50th anniversary of the banished words list. And this one, to me, I was a little bit surprised by because I felt like the other ones I at least had heard reference. But again, I must be living under a rock.
Demure is cooked, according to Chris Willis. Fair enough. I will say living underneath a rock, that's one that grates on my nerves a little bit because of course you don't live underneath a rock. And here's the other weird thing about underneath a rock. A lot of people will say, well, unless you're living underneath a rock, you don't know this. And it is almost always something that I don't know. And it feels like that they're making fun of me for being old and out of touch. So I think I'm going to introduce completely new concepts that no one has ever heard of before, and then say, well, in an offhand way, well, unless you're under a rock, you know what this means. It just seems kind of snobby to me.
Full confession: when I hear someone they admit to not knowing a TikTok trend, which is what I think Elizabeth just did, I'm jealous and impressed and envious. It means you're probably healthier than I am because you're not wasting your time with brain rot on TikTok.
I spend a lot of time in defense and aerospace, so things that originate in China, I don't participate in or support. So anything that's on TikTok, unless it's shared to like Instagram, I probably don't and will not know about it.
Okay.
All right. And then the number one word on our list is something we all predicted would be there. And I was not at all surprised to learn that in the 50 years of Lake Superior State University doing this, that this was the overwhelming by a landslide number one, 6-7. Okay. I won't start this one. Somebody else has got to have an opinion on this. What is it?
I'm happy to jump in. Again, I'm surrounded by young people and their friends, and this is everywhere. And this is why I'm happy it's on the list and why I believe it makes sense that it scored so highly, so to speak. It means nothing.
Right.
It means nothing. And yet people can't get more joyous in using it, which is baffling to me. So there's 75 types of memes, video memes you'll see on social media that use it. For example, high school or college basketball, you'll see a crowd sit like this and do nothing as the game is played until 6 and 7 points show up on the board. And then they erupt after you pass 6 points and 7 points. They erupt and sometimes storm the court. This is absurdity at its best. I don't understand it. And the old guy in me wants it to go away.
Yeah. And one video that I've seen, you may have seen this one, Todd, it was like, I think it was out of Five Guys. That's what it looked like. But people were like milling around the register, and the guy that was calling out the orders was order 62. And then it just like 67, they just go nuts. And it's just like, okay, like you said, it's joyous. I mean, they're not stealing hubcaps. I don't know why, grown-ups are so offended.
Not offended, definitely annoyed, not offended, but you're right. They get crazy amounts of joy out of someone somewhere saying 6-7.
Well,
but it is bizarre that like you could be saying something really important or even performing in a way, and it just seems like just that one thing is the only thing they react to. I don't know. I kept asking the first time I heard it. I was like, I don't understand what it is. I like literally do not understand what it is at all.
It's a problem for smart people. I don't want to be an intellectual myself, and I got to tell you, I seek meaning, and this is the opposite of that.
Can I give this to you? I am in complete contrariness to everything that everyone has said. I absolutely love 6-7. I adore that it's on the list because it guarantees that it will continue for months longer. if not years longer. Because in time immemorial, kids have come up with new fads and new ways of expressing themselves. And if it irritates adults, so much the better. Adults have not learned our lesson.
Nope.
The more we hate something, the more they are going to do it. I also love 6-7 because it is meaningless. That is just, to me, the epitome of postmodern art. It's a beautiful art form. The things in the way that people are using it and expressing themselves, a form of self-expression over the meaninglessness.
Yeah.
It's the art piece of the year, in my opinion.
Duct tape to the wall. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
because I do work in schools, I do have a lot of 6-7 exposure, and it's
It sounds like a
why are they
condition.
saying that, and but it's just like, it's funny. Like, I think that most of the schools that I've worked with, and I work with a lot of schools, is that I think that the policy is fairly laid back in most of them. You see, like, in individual classrooms that I mean, you almost see like teachers turning into Dana Carvey as the church lady, going, "We don't say that in this class," and whatever. Just like you just fueled it. And
Yeah.
but I mean, like, some of the instances where some of the schools have rolled with it. One school that I work in periodically, that they asked the art teacher, if this was an elementary school, they asked the art teacher, says, as we get near the 67th day of school, could we make crowns that say 6-7 on them? So 67th day of school, kid was wearing a 6-7 crown. Another school, it was like, getting, kind of out of hand at that one. I was only there a couple of days, and I was working with a very isolated population, but I guess that there was, it can be a distraction in classrooms. I understand that, but what the school did, I only noticed this when I was on my way out the last day, that they had changed the sign at the entrance that said, question, how many nights per week should you be reading? And it said, answer, 6-7.
Scott, I've had a lot of careers. My first career was in academia, or my second career, and I studied creativity. And one of the things we lament, and it's true, is that all of us making fun of ourselves in this little session for being old were once young people engaging for the sake of engaging and doing our own versions of 6-7. And somehow that joy has turned into us feeling annoyed. And that is sad, but true. And admitting it maybe is a hedge against overindulging in it.
Well, we've got some opinions coming in, as you might imagine. We've got Murphy, who is saying schools should ban it. I don't know how you're going to teach prime numbers and get away with not saying.
We should ban all prime numbers.
Yeah, let's ban all prime numbers and go on from there. Let's see. Murphy's getting even more upset. All funding should be pulled from those schools.
Murphy's hung over. Come on, man.
Oh, Murphy, the more you ban something that the kids come up with, the more they're going to use it. We have to learn these lessons from time immemorial. It's just a thing that happens. It really is. Oh, God. So that's our top 10 list. We'll devote another 2 or 3 minutes about, hey, are there any words that are not on the list that you think should have been on the list? And I'll start with you, Elizabeth. Anything?
Don't pick on me first. I hadn't really thought about it, I guess. I mean, 6-7 was like my top word. I mean, I think there's a reason why it could have been its own list. I appreciate your sentiment, Laura. And I do also appreciate, just dovetailing back into that really quickly, Todd, your perspective on the fact that there was so much joy around it. I feel like in a time of coming out of the year of the snake, right, when we're like sort of like peeling off all that crap and things, in order to get into the year of the horse, where we'll be able to have like this uplifting nature. Maybe it was the thing that got us there. You know what I mean? Maybe 6-7 was like that little bit of joy thread that we needed for this year.
Maybe. I think it's a comment in general on how potent Gen Z and their vocabulary has been and has made an impact on society. And social media is a part of it for sure, because that's a big part of our life now, whether we like it or not. But my answer to your question, Laura, would probably be there's some good candidates. I'm just picking on my boys here, but the one that annoys me the most is bet. Have you heard young people say this?
Yeah, after you say something, they're like, bet.
Bet. Like, definitely, yes, I agree. It means kind of 5 things, but it's incessant. It's everywhere, and I don't need to hear it as much.
I don't use that, so I'm not going to grate on your nerves with that one for sure. Bet. Scott, anything that you're hearing in the schools or elsewhere in your life?
I was kind of surprised that I starting to hear salty again, which I thought had its run a couple of years ago. But I still, I mean, to me, salty conjures up images of Popeye. That's what I kind of associate it with, and I think it's kind of like been bent into, like, I think any term is going to be contorted to fit the context that the user wants to. But I didn't really study this portion of the test, tell you the truth. But bet is a pretty good one. No, nothing really this year.
Well, the one that wasn't on the list that I thought might be on the list is, and Elizabeth, you probably won't like me saying this, but AI first. That particular phrase
yeah,
my nerves, mostly because it seems to be a way of saying people come second, or customers come second, or learning comes second. So I actually just quit working with an organization or quit being a client of theirs because they said, well, we're transforming into an AI first organization. And I said, well, that means customers come second, so I'm out. So
yeah, I agree with you, actually. I mean,
really?
I believe in keeping the humans. So I wouldn't work with them either if they were AI first, because we need the humans involved. What I would challenge everyone, though, is I hope what's on the list next year is actually AI policy, because that's really what we need. So I'm hoping that that's actually on a list, because there's so much topic about it that we're sick of hearing of it.
Okay.
Are we going to be cooked from AI by the next year, though?
Bet.
Well, I think I think that really depends on how many people give root access to, like, the gene editors and the nuclear launch codes to an AI bot. So
I think it's actually, I think that's an easy way to think about it. I mean, I think we could do a different session on this, but I think the more important piece is the fact that it's not the AI that we have right now that's going to be the problem. And I think that's why, if we don't figure out how we are actually going to sort of have some policy and rules around it, the next version that's coming is going to be our problem.
Right.
And to wrap things up, Cowley here, Thomas Cowley, or Cowley Thomas, says AI is going to destroy relationships. Full stop. Bet. And I think that's what we have for our 2026 Banished words list this year. I hope you enjoyed playing around, and I think I should end this by saying full stop.
Full stop. Pleasure, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.